Let's face it, there are people in this world who thrive on chaos. You could be laughing with them one day, confiding your secrets, feeling safe, and then, seemingly out of nowhere, realize that they've been the root of your distress all along. It's unsettling, but it's real. In today's episode, we're diving into a topic that's both captivating and confronting: the warning signs that you're dealing with someone truly toxic, maybe even evil. This isn't just about curiosity, it's about protecting your peace, your well-being, and your mind. Now, I know evil might sound dramatic, but stick with me, because once you begin to spot these patterns, you'll understand why this word isn't an exaggeration. The Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, they believed in living a life rooted in clarity, reason, and virtue. And when we examine others through that lens, we learn to see more clearly. We stop excusing bad behavior as quirky or just how they are, and instead start trusting our observations. So in this video, I'll walk you through 5 powerful signs that someone in your life might be doing more harm than good. And by the end, I'll also share a bonus strategy that will help you set strong, healthy boundaries with these kinds of people, without losing your cool. If that sounds useful, all I ask is that you hit that subscribe button. It's totally free, and stick around, because once we dive in, it's going to make a lot of things click for you. Alright, let's start with the first red flag. Number 1. Charm that feels too perfect. Have you ever met someone who just seems perfect? They're charismatic, quick with compliments, and you find yourself thinking, wow, I just met my new best friend. But here's the catch. Sometimes that level of charm isn't genuine. It's a tactic. The Stoics warn us not to be seduced by appearances. Epictetus would say, don't be carried away by the surface of things. Learn to see clearly. These people know exactly what to say, how to say it, and how to make you feel special. But if you pay attention, cracks begin to show. For instance, maybe they always steer the spotlight back to themselves. You're talking about something important in your life, and suddenly they interrupt with a story of their own. Or they casually put you down in front of others, but do it with a laugh so you're not sure if you're being too sensitive. That's not extroversion. That's manipulation in disguise. Picture this. You're at a dinner and this person is entertaining everyone, they're magnetic. But then, whenever you try to contribute, they cut you off or steer the conversation back to themselves. That's a clue. The Stoic practice of apatheia, a state of inner calm, helps here. When you're not dazzled by the show, you start to see the truth, that their charm is all about control, not connection. But the real test? Watch how they handle rejection or disagreement. When a kind person is told no, they may feel disappointed, but they handle it with grace. A toxic person? They'll get defensive. They might lash out, guilt-trip you, or suddenly withdraw their affection. All subtle ways of punishing you for not going along with their agenda. And as Marcus Aurelius wrote, the best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injustice. In other words, recognize toxic behavior for what it is, but don't let it shape you. So if someone's charisma feels too good to be true, slow down. Watch how they treat others when no one's watching. That's where their real character is revealed. Number 3. Manipulation. Manipulation is sneaky. It's not always obvious, but it can be devastating. This is when someone uses charm, guilt, fear, or flattery to control your decisions or perceptions. You might find yourself constantly second-guessing your choices, questioning your memory, or feeling like you owe them something you never agreed to. One classic example? Gaslighting. Let's say you confront someone about a comment that hurt you. Instead of owning it, they twist the story. You're overreacting. That's not what I said. You always take things the wrong way. Over time, you start to doubt yourself. You think, maybe I am too sensitive. That's exactly what they want. Another tactic? Playing the victim. They constantly complain, make their life seem harder than it is, and guilt trip you into rescuing them. But when you need help, they disappear. Stoicism teaches us to be clear about what we can and can't control. And here's the truth: you can't control manipulators, but you can control how you respond. So if someone's behavior always leaves you feeling confused, small, or indebted, it's time to step back. You're not imagining things. You're being manipulated. Let's keep going. If you've already identified someone in your life who fits those first 3 signs, charming but self-centered, lacking empathy, manipulative, you might already feel a knot in your stomach. That's your intuition trying to protect you. And in this next section, we're going to dig even deeper into 2 more signs that often go hand in hand with toxic, even malicious people. Number BR4. Controlling behavior. Control isn't always loud. It's not always yelling or threats. Sometimes it's hidden behind phrases like, "I'm just looking out for you," or, "Trust me, I know what's best." But here's the Stoic truth. No one has the right to dominate your choices or limit your freedom. Not in the name of love, care, or anything else. Controlling people often present their actions as helpful. Maybe a friend insists on always choosing the restaurant or the movie. At first it might seem like they're just decisive. But over time, you start to realize your preferences don't matter in the relationship. Your voice gets drowned out. And in romantic relationships, it gets more serious. A partner might begin monitoring your phone, asking who you're texting, demanding constant updates on your whereabouts. Maybe they say, "It's just because I care about you." But concern doesn't look like surveillance. Love doesn't look like fear. The Stoics were all about autonomy, freedom over our own mind, our choices, and our reactions. Epictetus especially emphasized this. We may not control everything in the world, but we must control ourselves. So if someone else is trying to run your life, it's not protection. It's oppression. And then there's financial control, a tactic that's especially destructive because it traps people. Imagine someone who insists on managing all the household money. They take care of the finances, but in reality they're keeping you dependent. You have to ask to spend your own money. Or worse, you don't even know what's coming in or going out. And they'll justify it by saying, "You're not good with money," or "I'm just better at it." But the Stoics would tell us, financial independence is a form of freedom. If you don't have control over your resources, it becomes harder to live with virtue, courage, and reason. Let's not forget emotional isolation. Controlling people often try to cut you off from your support system. They might say things like, "Your friends don't really care about you," or "Your family just causes drama." And little by little, you stop reaching out to others. You stop calling. You pull away until they're the only person left in your life. Sound familiar? Seneca believed that strong relationships are vital to a meaningful life. Isolation weakens us, not just emotionally but mentally. It makes us easier to control. And that's exactly what manipulators want. They might also use threats, subtle or explicit. "If you leave, I'll hurt myself." Or, "No one else would ever love you." These are not the words of a loving person. They're weapons, designed to keep you frozen in fear. And here's what's important. Controlling behavior is never about love. It's always about power. If you're dealing with someone who constantly tries to run your life, you don't have to justify walking away. The Stoics would urge you to reclaim your autonomy. Stand firm in your values. because true relationships are built on mutual respect, not domination. And that brings us to the fifth sign, perhaps the most difficult to face. Number 5. Pathological lying. We all tell little lies now and then, white lies usually to spare someone's feelings. But pathological liars operate on a different level. They lie constantly about big things, small things, things that don't even need to be lied about. It's compulsive, and it's calculated. The Stoics believed in living in harmony with nature, and nature to them meant truth. Marcus Aurelius reminded us that honesty is not just a virtue, it's the foundation of character. So when someone distorts reality for personal gain, for attention, or just to feel in control, they are fundamentally misaligned with that virtue. You might see it in small ways at first. They embellish stories. They make up details to sound more impressive. Maybe they say they went to a school they didn't, or that they've met people they haven't. These might seem harmless, but they're not. Because once they get away with the small lies, they move on to the big ones. They start covering up mistakes, blaming others, shifting the narrative to protect themselves or tear someone else down. Picture a coworker who lies about their contributions to a project, throwing others under the bus to make themselves look good. Or a partner who lies about where they've been, who they've seen, or what they've done, and when confronted, turns it back on you. You're just paranoid. That's called gaslighting, a form of psychological manipulation where the liar tries to make you doubt your memory, your sanity, your sense of reality. It's disorienting, it's painful, and it's intentional. Pathological liars thrive on confusion. The more uncertain you are, the more they can control you. Stoicism teaches us to return to clarity. Epictetus said, "First say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do." In other words, define your principles. Stick to them. And if someone repeatedly violates them, recognize that truth, even if it's hard. In relationships, this kind of lying is especially damaging. You start to doubt everything, what they say, what you remember, even how you feel. That erosion of trust is deeply corrosive. And here's the thing, pathological liars are often convincing. They tell lies with confidence. They mix truths into their stories. They offer details that make it sound real. So how do you protect yourself? Watch their patterns. How do they react when caught? Do they get angry? Defensive? Do they deflect or blame? Or, rarely, do they own up and correct it? Stoics would advise us to stay calm. Don't react emotionally. Observe. Reflect. Let the truth speak for itself. And don't ignore the impact these lies have on your well-being. When you're in a constant state of second-guessing, you can't be at peace. You can't live in alignment with reason and virtue, because you're stuck in someone else's chaotic reality. That's why the Stoics would say, guard your mind, guard your truth. Don't let deceit poison your clarity. If someone lies compulsively and shows no sign of change, no remorse, no effort to improve, it's not your job to fix them. It's your job to protect yourself. So far, we've uncovered 5 major signs of someone with toxic, maybe even evil, intentions. Deceptive charm, lack of empathy, manipulation, controlling behavior, and pathological lying. If you've seen even 1 or 2 of these traits in someone close to you, that's already reason enough to pause and reflect. But now the real question is, what do you do about it? Because it's not enough to just recognize these behaviors, you need to know how to respond to them. And that's where we turn to one of the most powerful tools in the Stoic toolkit, setting boundaries. The Stoic way to set boundaries. Boundaries are not about being cold, distant, or shutting people out. They're about defining what's okay and what's not okay in your life, and doing so with clarity and confidence. The Stoics believed in living according to nature, which includes protecting your mind, your values, and your time. Epictetus put it simply, we must not allow others to disturb our tranquility. Boundaries are how you defend that tranquility. So let's break it down step by step. Step 1. Get clear on what you will not tolerate. Before you even communicate your boundaries to others, you need to first know what they are. Ask yourself, what behaviors make me feel small, anxious, or disrespected? What patterns have I let slide because I didn't want to cause conflict? What do I need to feel safe, respected, and heard? If someone frequently belittles you in conversations or ignores your needs, that's a pattern. And it's your job to recognize it, not justify it. The Stoics taught that we must observe our lives with reason and honesty. Don't explain away toxic behavior with, they're just stressed, or, that's just how they are. Instead, look at what actually happens and how it consistently makes you feel. Step 2. Speak up, with calm, not drama. Once you've identified a line that's been crossed, it's time to speak up. Not with anger, not with blame, but with firmness and clarity. Here's an example. I value our friendship, but I need to say something. When you constantly interrupt or dismiss what I say, it makes me feel unheard. I'm not okay with that. If it continues, I'll have to take space from our conversations. See the structure? You affirm the relationship. You state the behavior clearly. You express your feeling. You outline the consequence. The Stoics believed in directness without emotion clouding the message. Marcus Aurelius reminds us to speak the truth as plainly and clearly as if it were an order from the gods. So don't sugarcoat it. Don't yell either. Say what needs to be said, and then hold the line. Step 3. Enforce your boundary every time. This part is often the hardest, because once you state a boundary, people will test it. They might try to guilt trip you, minimize the issue, or pretend they forgot. Don't fall for it. The Stoics, especially Epictetus, emphasized discipline, doing what's right, not what's easy. If someone crosses your line again after you've spoken up, follow through. Take a step back. Remove access. Limit interaction. Whatever is necessary to protect your peace. That's not punishment. That's self-respect. Consistency tells others, I meant what I said. And it tells you that your values matter. Step 4. Expect resistance and stay grounded. Here's the reality. The people who benefited from you having no boundaries won't like it when you set them. They might react with anger, guilt trips, passive aggression, silent treatment, manipulation, and that's okay. Their discomfort isn't your problem to fix. It's the result of you stepping into your power. The Stoics warned us not to be ruled by others' opinions or emotions. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The approval of others, what is it but a clapping of hands? Let it go." You're not setting boundaries to be liked. You're doing it to live in alignment with truth, virtue, and peace. So if someone flips out when you enforce a healthy boundary, that's confirmation you needed one in the first place. Step 5. Surround yourself with support. Boundaries aren't just about pushing toxic people away, they're also about drawing healthy people closer. Build relationships where respect, honesty, and mutual care are the norm, not the exception. Talk to friends who understand. Lean on mentors or therapists who can help you stay firm. Don't try to handle everything alone. Even the Stoics, who prized inner strength, valued community. Marcus Aurelius reflected often on the importance of being around those who share your values. Because when you surround yourself with people who lift you up, you stop tolerating those who tear you down. Step 6. Practice self-care as a form of defense. Setting boundaries is exhausting. Emotionally, mentally, and even physically. That's why self-care isn't a luxury, it's your armor. Make space to rest, reflect, journal, breathe, move your body, nourish your mind. Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. So protect your strength, recharge often, and remind yourself you're doing something brave. You're breaking cycles. You're redefining how others treat you. You're showing up for yourself. That's not weakness. That's wisdom in action. Setting boundaries is exhausting. Emotionally, mentally, and even physically. That's why self-care isn't a luxury, it's your armor. Make space to rest, reflect, journal, breathe, move your body, nourish your mind. Seneca said, sometimes even to live is an act of courage. So protect your strength, recharge often, and remind yourself you're doing something brave. You're breaking cycles. You're redefining how others treat you. You're showing up for yourself. That's not weakness. That's wisdom in action. Closing thoughts. When you start spotting these red flags, charm that hides manipulation, lack of empathy, controlling habits, deceitful behavior, it can be painful, especially if it's coming from someone close, a friend, a partner, a parent. But remember what the Stoics teach us. You cannot control other people. You cannot fix someone who doesn't want to be fixed. You are only responsible for your own virtue, your own reactions, and your own peace. And your peace is worth defending. So whether you're just starting to recognize these patterns or you've already begun reclaiming your space, know this. You are not alone. You are not overreacting. You are not weak for walking away. You are brave. You are wise. And you are stronger than you've been led to believe. Thank you for spending this time with me today. If this helped you in any way, I invite you to check out one of the recommended videos next. We'll continue exploring Stoic tools to help you grow stronger, clearer, and more resilient, no matter what life throws your way. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing. It's free. It helps the channel. And most importantly, it helps this message reach more people who need it. Stay grounded. Stay calm. Stay true to your values.